Welcome back, whisky fans. Today we've got another black bottle, and it's the peated one. We all get excited about that, don't we? So this is the Black Bottle Smoke and Dagger. So this is another release from the Black Bottle Alchemy series. So we've looked at releases 1, 2 and 3, and this is number 4. And I kind of get the feeling that this one is meant to be the counterpart to the, I think it was release 2, the Island Smoke. This is the PT release out of the second batch of Alchemy series releases. And that really fills me with confidence, because that Black Bottle Island Smoke, it was a whiskey that I really liked, I really enjoyed it, and I thought that it's fantastic value. I think that the Black Bottle Island Smoke, which I think you can still get now, it's really good value, really well made, peated blend, and I think that for £25, that Island Smoke, you get a lot of quality peat for your money. So hopefully we'll continue with a similar theme on this peated black bottle, the Smoke and Dagger. So details from the label. Something that puts me off a little bit, there's a tasting note on the front label. It actually says, what does that say? Discover smoke and salted caramel. I don't know. Smoke and salted caramel. Is that something that you want in your whiskey? I don't think it is. Salted caramel is not really something that I get excited about being a prominent flavour in a whiskey, but since when have tasting notes on labels been accurate? They're usually not, are they? Other details from the label, because it's a Distell product and it's not the standard black bottle, it's bottled at a proper 46.3% ABV, and I've gone on and on about this before, and I won't bore you, but I think it's amazing that Distell are offering almost across the range, even at this lowish price point, products with a proper ABV. It makes such a difference. It really helps carry the flavours. Amazing that you can get a £28 bottle of blended Scotch from Distell with that good presentation. We also know that it's non-chill filtered. As with the other black bottles, they don't mention colouring. On the previous one, the Andean Oak, Whiskey Base says it's natural. I don't think it is. I think it's got a little bit of colouring in there, and I think this one is probably similar. It is a no-age statement whiskey, and they also tell us on the details for this one that it's a blend of smoke and charred oak. So from that, we can perhaps assume that there's some rejuvenated, recharred casks. So possibly it's an economical production of some young but hopefully well-matured whiskey in some rehashed, resurrected old casks. Maybe. But if it's well-made, well-done, well-matured and well-priced, do we really care? One last thing before I get to the tasting. The name of this one, Smoke and Dagger. Without reading the details, I kind of assumed that this one would be either peated and sherried or peated in red wine. Smoke and Dagger just gave me that feeling about this one, but by looking at the labels and the website and all the information that we've got on the online retailers, doesn't seem to be the case. It seems to just be peated whiskey in recharred casks. So I don't know if it's just me thinking, I don't know, just something about Smoke and Dagger makes me think that there's going to be some sort of sherry or wine in there, but apparently not. So enough of that, let's get some in the glass. Screw top again, as you expect. Probably not many people, well, I'll take that back actually. I was going to say not many people are going to buy this and keep it long term, so the closure doesn't matter. But the label on that one, the presentation is so nice. I could see some people buying this and keeping it in their collection. Not all collections have to be expensive. Not everyone that wants to have a whiskey collection can afford 18-year-old Macallan and 1970s vintage Ardbeg. So yeah, perhaps some people will buy this one to keep in their collection and admire. Anyway, black bottle, Smoke and Dagger, on the nose. So, peaty, salty, iodine, lots and lots of Isla DNA in this one. One of the things that I always think when you get a peated mystery malt from the Distell group is you always wonder, is that peated component going to be coming through from some peated Bunnahabhain, Munya, or Kiobanuk, or whatever they call it, or is it going to be peated Tobermory like Lechig? And in my opinion, when you get peated whiskey from the Distell group, it's almost always peated Bunnahabhain, and I think that's the case with this one. Getting lots of trademark peated Bunnahabhain notes, intense young peat, oily, dirty Bunnahabhain style peat, also really quite oily, getting notes of vegetable oil on this one, mineral oil, quite a sooty, smoky peat, sooty and acrid, lots of wood smoke, barbecue charcoal, possibly coming through from those recharred casks, but also quite acrid, plasticky. Firelight is quite an industrial, aggressive, dirty peat. I think also slightly grainy, with a lurking sweet malt presence behind all of that smoky peat. All in all, the nose of this one, the Black Bottle Smoke and Dagger, I think it's good, but possibly a little hollow. Let's see how it tastes. What do you think about that colour? Actually looks quite clear. I don't know. There are clearer whiskies out there, so I do believe that it's non-chill filtered. But that colour, it's reasonably natural. But if you think that this is maybe a 4 or 5 year old whiskey, we've got no reason to think otherwise. The colour of that one is probably about right. So possibly a little bit of colouring in there, but not too much at all. On the palate though, more of that dirty industrial peat, earthy, spicy peat, more mineral oil, salty, briny, coastal, maritime, more seaweed, as well as some nice characterful bitter herbal notes. Very, very maritime though. In particular on the palate of this one, I'm getting a salty smoked fish note. So again, perhaps slightly hollow and a little bit light, but bags and bags of character. As for the finish, sweet, smoky, salty, again a little bit thin, probably a slightly weaker and shorter finish than what we got on the Andean Oak, but very good. I think that this whiskey, the Black Bottle Smoke and Dagger, I'm a little bit disappointed by it. I had higher expectations for this one than I did for the Andean Oak, and I think the Andean Oak exceeded my expectations. This one fell a little bit short, and I think that's partly because I liked that Black Bottle Island Smoke so much. I think that with this one, it's slightly simple, and it really is all about that oily, aggressive, dirty, industrial peat. And another thing that disappoints me slightly about this one is that it is a little bit thin, considering that it's 46.3% ABV. I think that it's not got an awful level of body to it, but it really could be better. It makes me wonder if there's perhaps a higher grain content going into this one. Maybe, although possibly also the effect of those recharred casks. Maybe those recharred casks giving a greater degree of filtration to what is already a young blend. Talking about those recharred casks, it's not in the same league at all, but the charred sort of barbecue charred wood effect on this one does remind me a little bit of the charred notes that you get from the Ardbeg, Scotch and Alligator, those heavily charred releases from Ardbeg, although like I said, definitely not in the same league. As for a grade, I'm going to give this one a C, which is a little bit of letdown because I had high hopes for this one, especially compared to this one which I gave a B-. This one is just a little bit hollow, a little bit lacking, but still a great value whiskey. It's just that the Island Smoke was that much better in my opinion. And also, as I keep saying, surprisingly, out of these two, I do prefer the Andean Oak, and I really didn't expect that, because normally Virgin Oak is really not my thing. Any whiskey that's all about the heavy oak spice notes generally isn't to my liking, but I think that this one is really, really well done. And for £28, fantastic value. But to be honest, at £28, I don't feel like I've been cheated out of my money on either of these. £28 for a non-chill filtered 46.3% ABV whiskey. That's pretty good. I think that you really get your money's worth buying one of each of these. But saying that, if you can still get the Black Bottle Island Smoke, probably better off getting that than this one. But very good. A very good whiskey, and I'm glad I bought it. I'm glad I've got the rest of this bottle to drink. All in all, I think that Distell are absolutely knocking it out of the park with this Alchemy series. Yeah, the standard black bottle is crap. I can't recommend the standard 40% black bottle at all. And that's a large part of the reason why I've not tried the 10-year-old black bottle, because that stuff is 40% as well. And if it's anything like that standard no age statement black bottle, I want no part in that. But the Alchemy series, absolutely going from strength to strength. So far, they are absolutely 4 for 4. And I'm really looking forward to Alchemy series number 5 and 6. Thanks for watching, and cheers.